fans and the comic fans. There's kind of a reason I'm going with a dark visage here. It's because I'm doing a review of a couple of trade paperbacks and a book, all written by Steve Niles. Criminal Macabre. Now, I don't know if you know who Steve Niles is, but you might recognize some of his work. The movie 30 Days of Night was based upon a graphic novel by him. He has a character by the name of Cal McDonald, who is a sort of a private investigator, but is a paranormal private investigator who deals with vampires, werewolves, and all things occult. Now, he's not your normal private investigator. This guy is really fucked up. He used to be a police officer who was found asleep at the wheel and was given a drug test, and he says he passed spectacularly, meaning he was just gone. Since he was a child, he could see monsters and stuff, and now he's just been drawn into the world of monsters, and he goes after them. He's got a ghoul best friend, and they just go after monsters. He's broke, he's got a drug and drinking problem, but he doesn't do the hard stuff, just, booze, pot, speed, stuff like that, and he kills monsters. Recently I did a video where I did a pickup of 2 trade paperbacks and a book. Now, this one here is Criminal Macabre. Doesn't really have a name. Doesn't have the name of the series. But this is basically where he comes across a meeting between a vampire, werewolf, a ghoul, and a human. There's been some killings, and it's like, wait a minute. These guys do not interact, right? Vampires and werewolves don't hang out. Werewolves and ghouls don't hang out. Humans don't hang out with any of them. So he's like, something's up. And as he investigates, there is the whole conspiracy comes across, and he has to deal with it and beat it. The problem I have with it, the story is fantastic. The problem I have is it's Ben Temple Smith, who is the artist, makes some of the art is really kind of sketchy. No pun intended. It's kind of hard to tell who's who sometimes. And while the story is fantastic, it moves along, it's really entertaining, it's just the art is not super fantastic. But if you watched me before, you realize that I'm a big Lee and Byrne fan, where you have really awesome art. And this is more, again, no pun intended, sketchy. It's not as good as those guys. So that takes a couple points off. But I think the story more than makes up for it. So I'm going to give it a 3.75 on this one. Now, you have Criminal Macabre, the third child. All right. This one is, again, a collection of a story. It obviously takes place way in the future of the original, the first trade paperback that I did. He has been changed. He is a vampire now, or some sort of a creature, and has been turned. But you also have some of these weird creatures who are coming out and killing people, looking for. There's two of them, an older creature and a younger creature who both seem to be baby-ish, looking for the third child. And then you have a guy who Cal McDonald had killed earlier, who comes back. He's like a warlock who thinks he is the third child. And they're killing people to bring him across some sort of Armageddon. And Cal McDonald has to try and stop him with his ghoul friend Moloch. And this is a little bit more entertaining, a little bit better art. The people look a little bit more realistic in this one, and I don't think it's as good as the original, but it's still entertaining. Because Steve Niles is just he's out there. The stuff is not the typical vampire, werewolf, ghoul type of stories. They're just, you read it and you're like, what the actual fuck is going on here? So what it lacks in art or things like that, it more than makes up for in story. So I'm going to give this one a 3.75. Now, the weird thing about this is Steve Niles does comics and he also does books dealing with the same character, and they're all in the same universe. Now, I read Guns, Drugs, and Monsters, written by Steve Niles. This book is incredible. Same character. It's almost like a new introduction to him. Oh, I'm not going to turn the light on. But what it is you've got Cal McDonald and Moloch sitting in Washington, D.C., and he gets a package. It's a box. Opens it up, and it's the head of a friend of his from L.A. Just the head. Not anything else. But the weird thing is, the head is still alive. It's been separated from the body, but it's like me, it talks, it thinks, whatever. And what has happened was, it's a fellow investigator of the paranormal who lives in LA, and he'd been separated from his body while investigating a weird case of Satan worship, and someone mailed the head to him. It was like a cop or someone that his friend knew. And he's like, you've got to come to LA to investigate this stuff. Help me out. So he mails the head, puts return to sender on the box, mails it back to LA, and goes to LA to try and investigate what happened to his friend. And in the process, he goes to this guy's office, knowing it's going to be a couple days before he gets, while he's in there, someone comes in to say, hey, I've got problems with my roommates. Boom, boom, boom. All the cases get connected together, and that case, the other case that he does, all connect to his friend being separated from his body, and it all culminates at the end with an exciting story. So I really, really, really enjoy this story. If you haven't read any Cal McDonald book or story, let me know, and then go ahead and read it, because it's awesome. Anyway, I'm going to give this a 4.0 out of 5, and tell you, it's freaking awesome. Enjoy.